there's no there's no supplement for hard work. I want to think that I live in a world where you can accomplish anything if you put your head down and do the right things. And so I feel like I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I feel like I've accomplished a lot.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Switch Up Sports, and we're coming to you today with another athlete interview. We've got the joy and the ability to have the men's golf captain of the Jacksonville State team on with us, Ryley Heath. I'm going to be bringing him on today and having a conversation with him. So let's bring him in the building right now. So everyone, welcome in Ryley Heath. Ryley, how you doing
Thank you
today?
for having me on. Doing good. I'm excited to be here.
Heck yeah, man. I'm glad that you have you on. And so, as I mentioned, golf captain of the men's team over there at Jacksonville State. How are you liking it? How did you end up there? How did you even get into golf? Tell a little bit about about yourself and kind of how you got into golf and how you ended up even playing where you're at today.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I have a pretty conventional route into golf. I mean, I've been fortunate enough I live on a golf course, so I was always around it. And my dad would go out there a lot as I was younger, and so I just kind of started going out with him. And I played a lot of sports growing up: baseball, basketball, pretty much everything. And probably about the time I was entering high school is when I kind of made the decision that I was going to strictly focus on golf. And I wouldn't say I was bad. I've always been pretty decent, but I was kind of a late bloomer in terms of college and stuff like that. I didn't really do anything too exciting in my freshman, sophomore years of high school. And so entering my senior year, I didn't really have a whole lot of options. Towards the end, I started playing well, so I was starting to talk to some mid-major Division Ones, nothing too crazy, but I wasn't ever able to actually get an offer. And so what I ended up doing is I went to a junior college in my hometown called Calhoun Community College. And I'll be honest, at first I was a little bit bummed because I feel like there's a bit of a stereotype around junior college, or at least where I was, that it's not that great. Maybe the competition isn't that great or anything like that. But I was actually surprised. Honestly, that was probably one of my most fun years of college. Looking back at it, I had a great time. I had a really um, tight knit team, which was awesome, and I was able to really grow a lot there. I mean, I won my very first college tournament. I ended up being an All American there, and
Okay.
so then yeah, I was very fortunate to get an offer from Jacksonville along with some other schools, but ultimately I ended up going to Jacksonville. It was close to home, which was important to me, and everything seemed right there.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. And so you kind of mentioned and touched on it in terms of growing up playing other sports. What was the thing that kind of said, hey, I want to play golf. I want to, stop playing in these other things. I want to focus on golf and I want this to kind of be the main thing. Cause I know I definitely feel for you on that one. I grew up playing a ton of sports. And when I got to high school, I, dropped football and decided to focus on wrestling and golf at the time. But, what was that thing for you that just kind of clicked and was just like, no, I want to focus on golf. I want to play golf.
Well, to be honest, I'm sure you can probably relate to this a little bit, but I was I could tell pretty early on that I was I had the best chance for a future in golf, but the thing that I feel like for me even at a young age that really drew my attention to it was the fact that it's an individual sport. I mean, I'm on a team now and I love my teammates. It's a great atmosphere being in a team environment, but I kind of didn't like the team sport so much in the aspect of I was relying on other people, and I felt like I was letting other people down as well if I didn't perform up to my standard. And with golf, it was just me versus the course. Like it was whether the result was good or bad, it was all on me. It wasn't because somebody else did something or I didn't contribute in a way. At the end of the day, it just boiled down to it was me, which I felt like I like the simplicity of it.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one. And you said it, right there. It's you versus the course. And the fun part about that it is it doesn't really matter what the day is or the time or anyone else. It's no other outside factors other than you, your own mental state, and the golf course. And whatever game you show up with that day, that's what you have to work with. And it doesn't matter if your buddy doesn't do his job or whatnot. It doesn't affect your score. It doesn't affect how you're playing. And kind of touch into that with you versus the course. Is there a course that sticks out in your mind or that you've always had a fond memory of, or one that maybe you want to? I mean, I know everyone has a dream list of courses that they want to play, but is there one that really sticks in your mind that you did have a chance to play that you kind of think back to every once in a while, where maybe you just play really good out there, or the one time you were out there it just visually looked right? Is there any course that just immediately comes to mind that's just like, I love this course, or I want to play here all the time, or anything like that?
Yeah, to be honest, actually, the first thing that comes to mind is a course we played this year. We played in Kansas State's tournament at kind of the beginning of the fall semester, and it was called Colbert Hills in Manhattan, Kansas. And the reason that one comes to mind, honestly, is because for me, I'm not super long off the tee. I wouldn't say my game's super flashy. I'm just pretty consistent, is the best way I would describe it. And for me, I feel like my biggest advantage is the tougher the course, because I feel like I'm pretty straight, consistent, not really a whole lot going on. And so the harder the course is, it seems like the better I do in terms of the competition. And so that course in particular was extremely long. I think it was close to 7,700 yards, like
Oh, wow.
76 something. And it was just, I mean, it was the toughest course I've played in the last couple years. And I ended up getting third there, I think. And
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one just simply because um, I really had to think my way around the course. And I feel like that's where I really thrive in those types of environments.
Heck yeah, and I can feel for you on that one. In terms of just kind of being a little bit more consistent. I know a couple years back I stopped, trying to do too much with the golf ball. Is just kind of, hey, where do I leave myself with the best miss? And then I've gotten decently good about being able to think out that process of, what, short right is a lot better than long left, and that process that goes through with that. So do you feel that the other sports that you grew up playing, I mean, I know you mentioned like baseball or basketball or something like that. Do you feel like those other sports helped or amplified your golf game at all? Or is there pieces from other sports that you grew up playing that still kind of weigh heavily on how you play golf, or, how you practice or how you go about the game?
To be honest, there's not a ton, but I do feel like my competitive nature kind of grew from those sports and those environments because I feel like, baseball and basketball is a little bit different from golf in the terms of there's not really like a lot of time to think and stuff. It's really a lot of just like quick reaction. And so that's a little bit different than golf. But as far as just like the competitiveness and the will to win, I feel like I definitely probably got those from those sports.
Man, I feel you. It definitely more time to think for sure. And you don't have much time to think when a pitcher's rearing back and throwing a fastball right at you. You don't have anything other than that split second to make that decision. So let's kind of transform a little bit, and go a little bit more forecasting and whatnot, and to some of the things you're looking forward to. I mean, I know you mentioned that you're going into your fifth year. So what things have kind of shaped your college career, starting at the junior college and then getting the opportunity of where you're at now, and now looking forward into, hey, what does this next season look like for you? And then what is it going to look like, a year, 3 and 5 years from now? What things are you working towards, and what are you doing to make that a reality?
Yeah, so honestly, I feel like the year in JUCO was kind of where my confidence grew. Like I said, when I was leaving high school, I maybe wasn't super thrilled about what I was going into, but that year gave me the confidence and the belief that I could compete with anybody. And so going into Jacksonville, I had a lot more confidence. And at first, it was a bit of I don't know, an awakening, I guess. It wasn't exactly like junior college. There was a lot of really good talent over there, but once I got to Jacksonville State, I realized really quickly that the amount of talent was a lot deeper. Like, in the junior college tournaments, maybe there will be 10 to 20 guys that were pretty good versus now pretty much the whole field is really good. Like most of the tournaments, I mean, in order to win one, you're going to have to shoot at least 13 under for 54 holes. So that's pretty competitive. You got to play a lot of really good golf. So at first, that was a bit of an adjustment for me because I kind of realized that I had grown a lot at Calhoun, but I still had a lot more stuff to learn and a lot better to get. And so the first 2 years I was there, I would say was just a lot of development, just learning from my teammates, getting used to the courses, the competitions, what I needed to do to get better. And especially this year, I feel like all of that work is finally starting to show. And I had a good year this year. Was very blessed to make the all conference team. I won a tournament.
Nice.
Um, had just a really solid year overall. And so going forward to this next year and then after that, I just want to kind of build on the momentum I have now. I have a lot of tournaments lined up this summer. So the first thing I want to do is, play well in those and get ready to get back to school in the fall. And honestly, next year, I would love to, make the all conference team again. I would love to win at least two tournaments. I think I can do that. And just really set myself up in a good position to turn pro after college. And I think it'll depend kind of how next year goes and whatnot. But I think more than likely, once I graduate next year, I'll probably go to PGA Tour America's Q School, which I think that's kind of towards the end of the summer. So I got about a full year to get ready for that.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. So do you feel that through each of those steps, what do you think has been kind of one of the biggest pieces that have made that big difference? Do you feel like it's with your preparation? Do you feel like it's what you do in the moment when you're actually playing? Do you feel like it's how you scout things out? I guess the preparation before, but then afterwards, is it the recap and then the analyze of then how to get better going forward? What do you think is really your strong suit, and what do you think has kind of helped, been a pretty big catalyst for you?
Honestly, what I feel like has helped me the most, definitely, I would say this year in particular, I had the most success, and I think a lot of that had to do with our new coach, Coach Elliott. I think he did a great job. He brings a lot of knowledge with him. He played at the same level as we did in college, and so I feel like he has an understanding, and so he's able to really help us a lot. But aside from him, I feel like the biggest thing was uh, that year in junior college and then my first 2 years here, I feel like the part that I was lacking the most was um, how to practice. I've always been somebody that wasn't afraid to work hard. I say I spend a lot of time at the course, but a lot of that time had no purpose or direction. I was just kind of out there just mindlessly hitting balls or doing this. I didn't really know what I was needing to do to actually get better. And so these last 2 years, I would say, is I kind of figured out what works for me. We talk about something on our team this year, everybody's got their own recipe for success. And I feel like that's a completely individual thing. I don't think what I personally do like would work for you, for example. I mean, maybe it would, but maybe it wouldn't. I think it's an individual process. You have to figure out what kind of stuff you need to do week in and week out to continue to get better. And so I was able to figure out what I needed to do on a day to day basis to continue getting better. And then from there, I started seeing a lot of positive results. And then, like you said, um, I also feel like we use a stats app called UpGame,
Okay.
and I feel like that's been super helpful for me. We put in all our stuff after the round, and you kind of see where exactly in your game you're losing your strokes at, whether it be putting or off the tee or whatever it is. And so after the tournaments, we'll analyze that stuff with coach and ourselves and come up with a plan going forward to get ready for the next tournament. So I feel like honestly, just to simplify it, just the best thing for me was figuring out what I needed to do in practice.
Yeah, that's always a big one too, because I know I've kind of fell into that rut for a little bit as well. And you said, just kind of going out in the range and banging balls, and whether it feels like, hey, I'm working on this certain thing, or you can kind of fall into the trap of, oh, I'm just working on tempo, or there's some little thing that you can say that you're doing, but then realistically, are you actually doing that? Are you putting in the conscious effort when you're out there practicing versus just that mindless, oh, I'm just kind of going through the motions, and I showed up to the course today, but did I really work on something? Did I really grind it out? Did I really get better? Did I do what I needed to do that's going to move the needle? Did I go hit, you know, did I go hit drivers and say, well, I feel like I'm getting, a little wonky off the tee. And that's actually my strongest point of the game, when it's like, hey, we're losing, 1.5 strokes putting. We need to be on the putting green. We need to be putting in that work. So you said you got some tournaments coming up this summer. We're now, I guess, as we get more deeper into May, we're out of school, we're getting stuff rolling as we get kind of forward. What does a normal day look like for you through the summer? You've got some tournaments coming up. What is your kind of practice schedule, the tournament schedule? What types of things are you doing before a tournament? Practice rounds, any of that stuff. What's like a daily schedule and kind of like a week schedule look like? As you come into the summertime, getting ready for those tournaments, and then, especially getting back ready before the fall season.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next event is starting on June 4th. It's our Alabama State Amateur.
Nice.
And so I got like about 3-ish weeks for that, two, maybe a little bit closer to a month, but something like that. And so right now for me, this season in general, I felt like I did really well from tee to green. I hit the ball really well. That was definitely my strong suit. The putting is probably the only thing that held me back, if anything. And so most of the time, I'd say right now, I wake up around 6-ish, 6 to 7, just kind of depends on what exactly I got going on that day. But as soon as I wake up, the first thing I'll do is I go to the gym, do some stuff like that, some mobility, and then I mean, not a lot of golfers like really get into lifting. It's not something you're starting to see it more and more, but I know a lot of my teammates that's not really their thing. They like to do a lot of mobility and stuff like that, but I think that the lifting is something that helps me a lot. Honestly, it's just an hour from the day that I can just go in there and like kind of not worry about anything, just kind of focus on, doing those movements. So I really like to start off my day doing that. I'm in the gym probably for about an hour. I'll come home, shower, whatnot, and then I'll go straight to the course. I'm probably at the course by 8 or 9, and I'll do some work on the range, go to the putting green, and I probably say I practice for 2 to 3 hours in the morning, and then I'll typically go and play 9 or 18. Just kind of depends. I'm fortunate enough that one of my teammates actually is from the same home course as me, so me and him do a lot of practicing together, and so I'll normally go play 9 or 18 with him in the afternoon, and then I'll come back, kind of clean up whatever what I didn't like that day. Most of the time it's putting, unfortunately, so I spend a lot of time on the green, and then I'm actually has I've started my master's program, so then once I've done all that, I'll come home and do some homework for the week, and that's pretty much what a typical day looks like right now, I'd say.
Nice. And that's definitely the important piece there at the end, is the continued advancement, of the things up here. But I
Yeah,
definitely feel you on that one, especially with the gym. I think sometimes a lot of golfers get into the misconception that, oh, lifting, I'm gonna get too bulky, even though it's
yeah,
really hard to get a
yeah. I
lot of
wish I
size
could
put
get too
on.
bulky.
Because I know I talk to a lot of people like that and whatnot. They're like, oh, I just don't want to get too bulky, and it's like, trust me, you won't. I tried really hard when I was growing up wrestling and then whatnot,
Yeah,
and transition with football. It's like, you have to put in a lot of effort to put on some weight, but trying to
yeah,
stay long. I'm with you. I love working out. I love hitting the gym, especially in the morning. More mostly it's because I get to start with pre-workout. That's kind of why I like hitting the gym in the
yeah,
morning versus
yeah,
at night. But transitioning with that and understanding that you have got a pretty good element of, focus on your body, getting your body right in the morning, going and putting that work in at the course, getting the chance to kind of play, free it up some. So if you could kind of look at it in we'll kind of get somewhat hypothetical. This will be kind of fun, random experiment. We're gonna just kind of ebbs and flow here. We'll see where it goes. But you've played golf for now a good chunk of your life. And do you think that golf will make a more lasting impact on you and some of the people that you'll get a chance to interact with? And do you think that there was something else in your life that you kind of somewhat put to the side to choose, golf over? Like, well, quick example, like baseball, basketball, you said, well, I'd rather choose golf. Do you feel that golf has kind of added any other, yes, we know golf has certain elements of, well, you got to prepare, you got to work hard, and you have to be patient. What's the main thing that you feel like golf transfers into your life versus, a different element that maybe you passed over?
To be honest, I mean, I don't know if you've heard this one before or not, but I feel like the biggest thing that I have learned from golf and I feel like is going to transfer over to the rest of my life going forward is character, honestly. I feel like golf is one of the best sports in terms of building character. Because honestly, a lot of the stuff that goes on out there, especially in tournaments, it's on you to, you know, address it. Like I can think of many times in tournaments that I've been off in the trees or something along those lines, and I addressed the ball and the ball wiggled, and nobody in my group saw something like that. Um, but that's against the rules, and ultimately I had to call a penalty on myself for stuff like that. And so I feel like I've definitely kind of gotten a good character from that. What's right and wrong, and even when it's tough, you have to tell on yourself sometimes. So I feel like um, that's probably the biggest thing. And then also, I feel like you can. This is kind of like more so my dad, but growing up, I said I played with him a little bit, but what he did is he would go out and play with potential business partners or clients or something like that. And he always told me that, you can really figure out a lot about a person on the golf course there for a couple hours. And I think that's 100% true. I mean, you can see what type of person they are if you spend 4 hours with them on the golf course. So I feel like that's something that I'll for sure carry with me the rest of my life.
Yeah, you can definitely get to know someone in a chance over that 18 holes, especially, whether they've got a little bit of an anger problem or, they like to beat themselves up or whatnot. I do have to admit myself, I have broken a club out on the golf course
Yeah.
on more than one occasion.
No, you
One
wouldn't
of
be
them
the first
wasn't
person.
entirely my fault. The club already had a dent in it that was a pass down club, and I just tossed it out of the bunker towards the cart as it, I was going to rake it, and then it basically landed on the head and it went up and it wiggled and then the club just like fell into two pieces. But
Yeah.
I do remember that I broke a 4 iron when I was playing with my buddy Mason. I don't know if you know Busta Jack Golf.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so Busta, the big one, he and I grew up
Yeah.
playing golf together, and we were on hole number two, and I hit this 4 iron that was just terrible, and I turned around and I threw it at my bag, and it basically hit my bag and split in two, and that was just the one day that that happened. I did it, and immediately just knew myself. I was just like, that was really dumb, and basically from that point
Yeah.
forward, the club breaking has never been an issue. It was that one time, it was that one mistake, and it was that one to go, yeah, that was really stupid. But there's so many people out there that they don't practice, they don't play. They play once a month, once every other month, and they're out there throwing clubs, cursing at themselves, hollering, doing all this stuff rather than just having a fun time when that's all we're out there to do. So I definitely appreciate that, and having that character and calling yourself on those things, and knowing that that's truly more or less what the game of golf is, and who it breeds you into as a person going forward into business, whether it be with other partners or other people that you're bringing in. Maybe we might work together. We're coworkers. This could be a client or anything like that. So, what are you getting your master's in?
So I did my undergrad in business management, and then
Nice.
I'm getting my MBA right now.
Nice. That's awesome. So I know that's kind of the fun element to golf because then if you get some clients and whatnot, you have your business, go out and play some golf. You had mentioned that you're wanting to turn pro. You're going to want to go through the the PGA Tour America Q School way. Is there any other kind of routes or other things that you're looking at in terms of the game of golf and what you're going to do after you're done with your degree and you're no longer a part of a college golf team? What are all those avenues for you, and what things you doing to make that happen?
Yeah, so like I said, like the number one goal for me is to one day make to the PJ Tour. That's what I work towards every day. And so that's kind of the primary goal. Um, but regardless of how things turn out, I can say one thing for certain, that golf will always be, a part of who I am. Whether if professional golf doesn't work out, I still think I'll be playing and practicing a majority of the time. Maybe play some amateur tournaments, but no matter what, I know for certain that I will always play golf. But the only other thing that interests me besides golf, honestly, is like real estate. So I've kind of always had an interest in that. So I feel like golf doesn't pan out, that's kind of a direction I would probably end up going.
Real estate's a pretty good one to get into. That's one that you can definitely then incorporate a lot of golf into that too. I know a handful of realtors that they play golf quite frequently, so you can probably have an
Yeah,
opportunity
yeah,
to
I
get
know
out there
a
and
lot
play
of
quite a
them as
bit.
well. Yeah,
Have
yeah,
that
no,
openings, have that time and space. So again, little kind of hypothetical question. We'll end kind of more on a fun note. And
yeah.
this is one that everyone loves to ask. You got to ask everyone. There's a tee time at 9:35. What course are you playing? It could be anyone. And then who are the other three guys that you're playing with, or other three people that you're playing with? The ultimate dream foursome. Hey, what course and who you going with?
Man, I'm probably going to give an answer that everybody gives, but it's the truth. But probably Augusta National for sure, and then the Dream Foursome. Mm. Uh, Honestly, I think John Daly is going to be in there.
That's a good
He
pick.
seems like a fun guy to have around. I actually met him not too long ago. That was pretty cool. But I would say John Daly, Tiger, and then probably my dad. I think that'd be a solid group.
That's a fun day too, because you're gonna have the fun element of John, having his feet and toes out on the course, no shoes,
Yeah.
cigars, nothing but ripping bunch of brews. Tiger will be out there nice and focused, trying to hit a bunch of really good golf shots, and then you and your dad can hang out and have a good time. But that's kind of, I think, everyone's answer. Have you had a chance to be out to Augusta before? Have you had a chance to go there and see the tournament or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I actually haven't. One year we had tickets to the practice round, and something ended up happening. We weren't able to go, but that's definitely something I'd like to do. I mean, honestly, my big goal this summer is, I mean, I have the U.S. Amateur coming up. Well, I have to qualify for it, but I'm going to just, try and manifest it. I'm going to assume that I'm going to qualify, but man, that'd be pretty cool to win that and get a tee time at the Masters. So that would definitely be a bucket list for this summer.
Heck yeah. Well, that is an absolutely incredible story. I love, kind of what you're working towards. I love, the elements that you're shaping up for it, and the fact of, you put in the work early on. You didn't really have the offers coming out of high school. You put in the work to earn that spot for yourself. You've made the most of it, and you're continuing to put in the work, and you're grinding every day for it. And I can hear the passion coming through for you, and that's a big element and big piece for me is seeing that passion for other people in terms of what they're trying to get after, trying to chase, and trying to achieve. And that definitely comes through for yourself, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck. If there's anything else that you want to say to the folks, say hi to anyone, or any closing words or remarks, this is kind of an open floor spot. There's no exact question or just statement message. It's kind of a free open range piece here if you just want to kind of say anything.
Yeah, honestly, the only thing that I would want to say is, whoever's listening, uh, there's no there's no supplement for hard work. I want to think that I live in a world where you can accomplish anything if you put your head down and do the right things. And so I feel like I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I feel like I've accomplished a lot. And like you said, I didn't really have a lot of the early success, and so I'd like to think that I can be um, like prove that point that if you work hard, you can pretty much do whatever you want. So I mean, just work hard and chase your dreams. And
I
that's
think I'm
about
gonna have
it.
to get that. I think I'm gonna have to put that on a T-shirt. There's no supplement for hard work.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. I'm definitely gonna have to put that on a T-shirt. Well,
yeah.
Ryley, like I said, I wish you the best of luck. Good luck this summer in tournaments. Good luck in the Alabama Am. Good luck in the US Am. Go out there, qualify, get yourself that tee time at Augusta, and I'll be watching for you. Wish you the best and have a fantastic day. And to all you folks out there, again, there's no supplement for hard work. You heard it from the man himself. Go out there, chase what you want, and get your dreams. Switch Up Sports Crew. We'll catch you later and see you in the next one.